Let's talk about some particular scenes. Harry, the airport scene with the cucumber.
Mm-hmm. Yes, what about the cucumber in my pants?
Harry.
Originally, we were going to do that scene without a prop. Harry said, I can do this without the prop.
I can do it on the natch,
I can do it without the
he
prop.
wanted
He
another
said,
take.
no, Harry.
Do his own stunts, he said.
Yeah. I guess it's sort of well known that rock and rollers are proud of their equipment. And
by this, we don't mean their
amps.
Their
No,
amps
ampage.
or their musical instruments.
No, we don't necessarily
Talking about the
mean
other
that.
instruments.
We're talking about other instruments. And it's also well known that there's some fakery that goes on, some higgery-pokery, may we say, that goes on with this. And this was just an attempt to poke fun at that particular aspect of it. Also, a lot of the bands of this style that Spinal Tap tend to project an image of almost comic book macho on stage. And that scene was just one of the ways that we sort of tried to puncture that particular balloon.
You know, just simple lines, intertwining. You know, very much like I'm really influenced by Mozart and Bach, and it's sort of in between though. It's like a Mach piece, really. That is actually a piece of music that I had written a few years ago, and I was playing it we were in a recording studio.
And really, that was one of the few scenes in the film that really did happen on the set. That he was noodling around with the piano the first time we did it. When he was noodling around the piano, and I came in there, and I said, Peter, who was the cameraman, I said, just roll the camera, let's see what happens here. That was a totally, it originally was a totally out of the blue.
And that's how that happened. They see us on stage with tight trousers. We've got, you know, armadillos in our trousers. I mean, it's really quite frightening, the size.
Yeah.
And they run screaming.
You know, the scene in the It's a Fish and Chip Shop when Nigel and David are sitting together, and I'm asking them about their childhood and how they got started, and asking them about the first song that they ever wrote.
If she's not on the 519, then I'm gonna know what sorrow means, and I'm gonna cry, cry, cry all the way home.
We didn't improvise that song at that moment, though.
No, we wrote that song.
We wrote that day or the day before. Actually, we wrote it for another scene. We wrote it for another scene. It was cut out of that scene, so it was deemed unusable as we were shooting it. It was just a song that sounded kind of 1964 skiffle come rock and roll song.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Is anybody here British?
No. Well, you got a borderline case over here.
Yeah,
No, you don't have to prove it.
Oh, I'm half English. My father's English.
Which half?
Right.
The right half.
So that you
No.
you didn't talk that way. I mean, you haven't.
No.
You just.
We're
you-
all born in America.
I'm proud of it.
Okay. All right. I just.
We only
had a
buy
question.
American, too.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
But
Let's
we
talk
sell
about
foreign.
some. I've heard that too.
Commissions are so much bigger, of course, because there's all that cheap labor. Shh, sorry.
Why we did it? That's a tough question. We did it because we all share a common love for rock and roll. We all like to make each other laugh. We all worked together in various projects over the years. Harry and I had an idea for a film about roadies, which was behind the scenes in rock and roll world. Chris and Michael had developed the characters of Nigel and David and had been improvising with these characters, these two British rock and rollers. We said, geez, it would be great if we could find a format for this band, this heavy metal band, and expand it and find a way to do it. And when we came upon the idea of doing it in documentary style, parodying, making fun of those rock and roll documentaries that you've seen so many of, and came to be. It all came from the ether and floated around.
Why didn't you just say that to begin with?
I don't know. I'm bouncing around pretty good. Help me out.
The ether's the short answer, obviously.
The bigger the cushion, the sweeter the pushing. That's what I said.
Chris, what were you trying to say about these British rock and rollers, or rock and rollers in general, with this satire, affectionate though it may be?
I don't know. I really don't know. Nothing in particular. Just.
Ain't they funny?
Yeah,
Don't they take
there's
themselves
some funny
serious?
things going on here. Yeah, I think it's mostly their attitude towards their business, which is that this is the most important thing in the world, and I am the most important thing in the world, and this music that I'm writing is the most important thing in the world. Invariably, it isn't. But
I think that
except the music that we wrote for this,
Which is important.
Very
Very
important.
important.
Good drummer.
Great look, good drummer, yeah.
Good
yeah,
drummer.
fine
What
drummer.
happened to him?
He died. He died in a bizarre gardening accident some years back.
it's really one of those things. It was, you know, the authorities said, you know, best leave it
It's not talking about,
unsolved,
yeah.
really. You know,
How can I help you?
by not doing that.
One more time.
What would you like, and speak for everyone here,
Okay, I'll be glad to. I usually do.
that's what I've heard, that's why I asked you. What would you like the audience to go away with in terms of how they feel
I'd
about...
like them to go away with wallets that are $5 thinner. No, somebody said to us the other day, a writer said, and he was writing an article about rock videos, and he said, after I saw your movie, I could not go back and look at that stuff with a straight face and take it seriously. That would be what I would love for the effect to be for at least about 48 hours, or, before it wears off.
Actually, and
You
it
know,
was-
several, dozens of people spontaneously combust each year. It's just not really widely reported.
Right.
We would like to impart our view of that world to people and have them find it funny the way we do for at least a little time after they've seen the movie.
You go right straight through this door here, down the hall,
Yeah.
turn right,
Yeah.
and then there's a little jog there, about 30 feet, jog to the
We don't
left.
have time for that.
The nature of the piece, the style of the piece, we chose to do it as a documentary. We chose to do it as a send-up of rock and roll documentaries. And we felt that in order to get that feel, that documentary feel, to script it, it would not come off the way we'd like. When you go out with a documentary camera and you shoot a rock and roll band on tour, you don't know what they're going to say. You don't know what's going to come. It would be almost impossible to script the kind of overlapping, the kind of freedom that you see with these kind of characters. So we felt if we're going to keep in the style that we're parodying, let's also shoot it as if it was really a documentary, and that's why we chose to improvise. We also hired actors who could also improvise, who were also able to take a character and a situation and feel free to just come up with whatever they came up with.
These haircuts wouldn't pass military muster, believe me. Although I shouldn't talk, my hair's getting a little shaggy, too. Better not get too close to you, they'll think I'm part of the band. I'm joking, of course. Shall we go in and I'll show you around?
We did maybe 3 or 4 takes each time, and we do a whole scene once through. We had outlined the scene previous to going to shoot, so we knew basically what we wanted to have happen in the scene.
And each character individually knew what he wanted out of the scene.
Right. So we knew going in that we had that set. Then we shoot the scene, just turn the camera on and shoot, see what happened. Then we sit down, discuss it, say, oh, maybe we can lose that beat, maybe we can take this beat and put it a little earlier, maybe we'll, do something else. Then we'd shoot it again. You just bought it?
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
I wasn't gonna touch it.
No, don't touch it.
I was just pointing at it.
Well, don't point even.
Don't
It
even
can't
point?
be- No, it can't be played. Never. I mean,
Can I look at it?
No.
How long did you work on this film?
We worked on it
9 to 5.
about 3 years. 3 years or so.
The actual shooting was only 5 weeks. A lot of pre-production and a lot of
And the editing
these
was
guys taking it around to a lot of different
7 or 8
offices.
months of editing. We edited it just like a documentary. We shot 50 hours of film, which is, when you shoot documentaries, you just keep rolling the
Shoot everything,
camera.
'cause you don't know
And
what's
then
gonna
I always talk about the process of making this film was really a writing process. The pre-production and just mapping out the outline. The 4 of us wrote the outline, and then the actual shooting was writing. The characters were all writing as they were acting, and then the post-production, the editing, was also writing. We were writing with the pieces of film in the editing. And what we got to do is figure out which styles we want to keep, because there's some, there are ones that are funnier than others, and I mean, we got to keep nice and stinky.
I think the long flight of Icarus P, anybody could probably go.
What do you mean? I like that one.
Yeah, but it takes half the commercial
The only
arena.
place it shows up.
And then when we got into the editing room, we looked at all the scenes. We said, "Which is the funniest? That's funny." When he says in this take, it's funnier, and then he said something here that's funny. Oh, but there's no way to get between the two because it won't sound right. It won't track right in terms of in terms of the dialogue. So we take the soundtrack and then piece the soundtrack together in a way that made sense, had a linear a flow to it, and then we put the pictures around it. So basically, I don't know how the hell we did it. Somehow it came together. I don't know.